Good morning, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world. You've tuned in to the Mac City Morning Show. I am your host, Elliot Pierre, and we're going to start this episode off the same way we start every episode off, with a moment of gratitude. I know you could be doing a million other things with your time, and the fact that you spend it with us truly does mean the world to me, so thank you. On that note, Tanner, hit him with the intro.
Whatty up, boss? Welcome to the Mac City Morning Show.
Hey everybody, Keith Simpson here from Neural Toyota. We support the oil barons. We've joined the drive-in movie theater. We're involved in the marathon here in Fort McMurray, and that's what makes this community such an amazing place to live.
And we are back. Big shout out to Neural Toyota, our title sponsor, for keeping the lights on here. Big shout out to Thad, Nimmer, Keith, all the boys and girls at Neural. We appreciate your ongoing support. Now, as you know, I don't introduce my guests because they can do a better job of that than myself. So on that note, can you please tell everybody at home who you are and what you're about?
I'm Kyla Penner. I'm the founder and CEO of KpSquared 24-Hour Innovative Childcare and the owner of Arbor Consulting here in Fort McMurray.
Okay, I knew about KP. What is Arbor Consulting?
Arbor Consulting is something that we had started to develop over the last year as we became more increasingly aware of policy through government.
Okay.
Specifically in the Family Service Division. So that is where I filter through all my early childhood educator consultants. And then we also have collaborated with individuals who support us in grant industries, social media, just any kind of side piece that we do to integrate into the business.
Okay. Now, the main business then, let's talk about that. I know a little bit about it, and I know it's getting kick-started now. Construction has started. So what is that all about? Please tell everybody at home, because I think there's going to be a lot of people, especially in this community, who are very happy that this is getting going.
Yes, we're pumped. It has been a long time coming. However, I'm a firm believer in trusting in the timing and how everything works out. So we are in construction of our first 24-hour childcare facility in the northern region.
Which is crazy to me.
Yes.
Crazy.
Super
So anyways,
crazy.
keep going on.
No, we are putting in 10 overnight spaces, and then we have an additional 10,000 square feet that we will continue to add on and build price space in for capacity. So I think our first year, so we go in phases for construction. Our first year will roll out around like between 50 and 75 enrollments, and then we will continue to build on top of that. The super exciting piece is that, you know, like 24-hour childcare, overnight childcare was not a thing. And
Which I didn't know that was a thing until I met you a few months ago. So
yeah, no, it was a big issue.
Yeah.
Even extended hour care. I should say anything outside of non-traditional care.
right. So explain this to me,
non-existent.
because I'm a dummy, and that's okay, and that's why the show is great, because I ask dumb questions. So this is crazy to me. So before, people weren't allowed to do childcare for like overnight 24 hours, or like, because you had to go and meet with politicians, you had to do work with the government to make this happen. So am I right by saying people just weren't allowed to do this prior to?
So there was no legislation that adhered to any childcare after 6 p.m. Some individuals could apply for exemptions to operate till 8 p.m. Or I think up until 10 p.m. However, there was a whole structure and format missing for a business model for that to take place. And then it was illegal for overnight care in general, for the exception of day homes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. And is that just in Fort McMurray? Is that Alberta?
That was province-wide. Actually, so Alberta was
What?
the first one. Yeah, that was province-wide. Alberta was the first one to actually craft a legislation. There's one 24-hour childcare facility in Ontario, but I believe it was exception-based. So
Okay.
they didn't actually craft a legislation to the 24 hours. We delivered that to Canada first, yeah.
That's crazy. But okay, so you've gone through the process of like helping change the legislation, meeting with
Yes.
MLAs, meeting with members of parliament, trying. So what was the disconnect here? Because to me, this seems like a no-brainer. Like you had, like Fort McMurray, for example, has tons of shift workers. So it's a necessity. But every other community has people that work night shifts, that work in warehouses, that work in like overnight restaurants, like cleaners. There's so many industries that work at night. So like, what is the disconnect to say like, oh no, if you work at night and you got a kid, figure it out? Like, where does that come from?
I think it's a multitude of things.
Yeah.
I think people just always had the expectation that they relied on family. And like, I'm sure you know, Fort McMurray is not on the priority list amongst the vast majority of government officials.
Right.
We're kind of hidden away and kind of forgotten about. And for us, what was important for this community is like, it's a rare breed to be born and raised here and have family to support you here.
That's right.
So everybody comes from an outside province or city or industry. So
Right.
they actually have no one.
That's
They
right.
have absolutely no one to support them. And then other people, I think, just made it work or used to privatize services. So that was one of the biggest things that we saw. There was tons of privatized services and those relationships being made. And I just found a niche. Like so I come from like a nursing background, moved up to Fort McMurray, got a super great job with Mcmurray, you know, in their dispatching planning department. Had my daughter, went to go return to my fancy site paying job and could not find flexible childcare that was going to allow me to mold to my schedule, and then also not be able to utilize childcare at night for my night shifts.
That's right.
And I had a small amount of family here, but they also worked full-time jobs.
That's right.
So what were my options? There weren't any.
Yeah.
So I quit, and I decided to go back to school and to finish up my LPN.
Yeah.
Met a couple women who were in the exact same position. They were about to embark on their nursing careers after graduation. They had children, and they had no one.
Right. Right.
At all.
Yeah. That's right. That's the majority of people, like you said, in Fort McMurray. Yeah.
So they forfeited part of their careers or their flexibility or financial freedom.
Right. Nuts.
Yes.
So at that point, like the light bulb went off in your head and you're just like, hey, I see an opportunity here. So when that light bulb went off in your head, what happened first? Did you say, hey, I want to start this business? Or did you find out like, oh crap, I can't start this business because legislation doesn't allow me
Yes,
to?
that's what it came down to. Is
Okay.
we started deep diving into certain legislations
Right.
and realizing that the only way that I'm going to be able to service the individuals is to like have small independent day homes that will be able to cater to the shift working care until we continue to lobby government to move forward. So I was very fortunate. Tanny out here was a huge advocate for us.
Okay.
We had come to him and said like, yo, I have all these families. So like networking is my zone of genius. It's what I do. It's my jam. I love people.
Okay.
And I started just like crafting these relationships with people that like my spouse worked with, that I worked with in my previous fields, and then just getting out there and basically asking what the disconnect was, not even just associated with childcare, but like, how do we increase your quality of life?
Right.
And typically the biggest thing that came up was like, I need more financial freedom. Or the biggest things for moms is I don't want to feel guilty embarking on a career for me.
That's right. That's right.
So then we had brought that to Tanny, and I was like, listen, this is it. This is, here we are. And I worked cohesively with a team over a year and a half to gather some major data in this region and then branch that data down the province as well.
Right.
To see what would be utilized.
And so were you having to go down to Edmonton or other government areas to like lobby? Were you going in front? Was this done in conjunction with Tanielle? Like, how do you effectively change policy? Because you have. So how does that even work?
Like, I don't think there is a one model fits all when it comes to changing policy.
Yeah.
I think people need to understand that like you need to understand you can make an impact. It only takes one person.
Right.
Specifically when you're passionate around it. And let's just be smart and tactful on how we cultivate relationships with people in political positions. So Tanny was a huge advocate.
Right.
He brought forth the relationship that I carried with the Minister of Children's Services. And then what I did was I delivered facts and stats.
Yeah.
So like that were relevant to policy and government, that touched, I think, a piece of what perhaps people in my industry don't touch. So
Right.
we were able to gather stats from other provinces on what their like female labor participation workforce model was compared to Alberta's.
Right.
How many families didn't have additional support, what our healthcare, we gathered stats of what it looked like, of how many dollars we would save in the health ministry
Yeah.
by providing these additional family supports
Right.
to government,
That's right.
because
Yeah. So you
That's
just
what they
gave
wanna
them,
hear.
Yeah, you gave them stats that they were able to like easily digest and then say like, oh, this makes sense, and then they could take it and say like, hey, look, some good stats, and then they look good when they're
yeah,
know,
it's like the nature of
making work.
politics.
That's awesome.
But like you have to speak their language.
That's right. That's right.
That's what it comes down to, and then, cultivating those relationships, and then they see you differently.
And from start to finish, how long did that take you?
I've been at this since 2018.
Okay, so it's like for everybody listening at home, like there's no such thing as like an easy road. Like it took time.
There is absolutely not an easy
Yeah.
road.
And like you could have very easily, and that's I think a really good message, because a lot of people, like if you don't have instant gratification, it's like I did it for 5 months and I got to stop doing it because it didn't work.
Well, I think that's kind of what like our culture kind of thrives off of now,
That's
is
right.
instant gratification.
Yeah.
So this was a learning experience and a piece of growth that will not just like the overnight care, but like the identifying of what kind of impact we can actually bear
Right.
with perseverance. And then like I lead everything with love.
Yeah.
And I actually think that makes a difference in how you're seen.
Right.
So there is a very hard road. If I were to look back and be known what I knew back in 2018, like I don't know if I'd be sitting here today, but I'm
Right.
grateful
That
that
you
I
went through
am.
it. Yeah.
And I'm grateful that every single step and every barrier that we had to overcome actually just intensified things to a position that I knew like there must be something more. The impact will be larger, or it wouldn't be this hard.
That's right. That's right.
So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's great. Well, listen, Tanner gave me a signal a few minutes ago that he's ready with his segment called the Mac City Minute. We're not going to do awkward silence today. We're done with that ad, but we need to make another ad up pretty soon here, Tanner.
Yeah, something like that has nothing to do with anything.
That's right.
Yeah, just
But
for fun.
hit her with the Mac City Minute.
Alrighty, question number 1 for you today. What is the funniest story you have with your time working with children?
Oh gosh. The funniest story, I actually can't nail one story. I'll just give all parents a warning. Like, children tell us everything. Everything. Oh, we heard a story once about how dad was out of town and like Uncle Jimmy was coming to stay
Yeah.
for the week. Like, that is the kind of shit that
Yeah.
we absorb. I will write a book one day
Yeah.
of all the crazy things children feel
Yeah.
comfortable, which gives me gratification because they clearly feel comfortable to just say whatever. So
That's
yeah,
right.
I could just not pick one. It's just
Yeah.
nothing goes unseen or unheard out of the mouths of children.
Facts.
Yes.
Facts. Okay.
Question number 2. What is your favorite part of bringing such a new resource to Fort McMurray?
The shifting of culture. I think that we are in a movement, specifically outside of COVID, where we are going to see a massive shift in culture. And this is another level of community empowerment that will take a level of like connection with others to a new degree.
There you go.
Question number 3. What is one thing people wouldn't expect comes with working in the child care industry?
Politics. I think that there is quite a big division between non-for-profit and for-profit and educators and government. It's one of the loudest industries I have seen take place in government lobbying.
There we go.
Question number 4. If you could be a child for one day with all your adult knowledge, what would be the first thing you would want to do?
Nice one.
Thank you.
I would play more.
Okay.
Yes.
What would you play?
With the earth.
Yeah.
I do. I think that there's a lack of the understanding of the importance of feeling grounded in nature. And kids are forced to grow up very quickly in this generation.
Yeah.
And they are able to, they have to take on a lot more than perhaps what we saw 30 years ago. So I just would want to play more, especially knowing how stressful my adulthood life was.
Yeah.
And your final question, what is one way you believe Fort McMurray would be a great place to raise a child?
I think that Fort McMurray increases their family capacity like every day. My husband's also born and raised here. He loves this city, and he loves to see what it's grown to. I think that there is a misconception due to how transient the city is on what can actually be offered. I wish things would get better. Like, I wish we had some more retail. I wish they'd build a highway between here and Grand Prairie so we had a Costco 2.5 hours away. But at the end of the day, when we speak about our summer life here, or we're avid fishers and hunters, and when you incorporate those principles into your family unit, it's very different than living like the busy city lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure.
And those have been your 5 questions.
Thank you, Tanner.
You're welcome.
Yeah, man. But yeah, totally. When I used to be a recruiter, it was easy to get people to want to come up to Fort McMurray because of the job opportunities and career advancements. But at the end of my pitch, I'd be like, don't move up here for any of that, though. Move up here for your kids. I'm just like, the life that you're going to produce for your children by living in Fort McMurray is huge. Like, the opportunities that they're going to have for their future advancements. When you go to high school here, even junior high, like, you need a passport because you travel. Like, the resources that are here for children and families are crazy. Like, my little guy is in Edmonton right now, visiting his grandparents. And there's not as much to do in a center like that as there are things to do in Fort McMurray. There's always something going on for kids here. And 99% of the time it's free.
I do. I agree with the
Crazy.
99% of the time it is free. And I
Yeah.
think that people just need to capitalize it. They're always looking for an escape route out, right?
Yeah.
So I have 3 kids myself.
You have 3 kids?
I do,
Whoa,
yes.
congratulations.
Thank you. And my oldest just graduated high school.
What?
Yes.
Oh, man. I'm sad this show's only 20 minutes long. All right. Okay.
Yeah, so I've seen the benefits and the opportunities that
Yeah.
presents itself. And my son has now been enrolled in the co-op program. He's
Okay.
making bank at his wonderful summer job,
Yeah.
also making plans to travel.
Yep.
And I'm so grateful for the opportunities that have
Yep.
cultivated for him moving forward.
Yeah.
So
That's exactly it. So listen, this is a sad fact of the show is it's only 20 minutes long, and Tanner just gave me the watch tap, so that means we are out of time. But before I cut you loose, everybody gets a shameless shout out or plug. So you have the mic, the lights, the camera. Have fun.
Oh God. I think when it comes to everybody, please check out KpSquared. We have a massive wait list, but we're obviously looking to increase that. Having those kind of statistics and models surrounding around what we do allows us to branch out and continue to service more families. Outside of the business perspective, let's live through light and love.
There we go. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Please, please, please feel free to come back as many times as you want. That chair is always open for you, so don't be a stranger.
Thanks.
Cool. All right. Well, for McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world, that's been another episode of the Mac City Morning Show. Once again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in. It does mean the world to me. Big shout out to Noral Toyota, our title sponsor. Thank you for your ongoing support. And everybody else, I hope you're having a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
What a deadly old way to end another morning show. Later, boss.
It's so ballistic!
Talk about quenching your ugly thirst.